So you want to homeschool your children? Well, you're in the right place. Hi, I'm Owena. I'm a mother to 2 young children, and I'm currently homeschooling my eldest. My youngest, who is 18 months, is not technically homeschooled, but he definitely learns from the process and sometimes joins in with his older brother. I've worked within schools for over 14 years, from teacher's assistant up to management, and I have a degree in business entrepreneurship with education studies, which gives me a level of expertise within education. I've been officially homeschooling for the past 6 months, making me a baby in the process, I know, but it also means I have a fresh perspective, and this is what I've learned from not only my own research, but through speaking with and learning from other homeschooling parents. Now, what I'm about to say is geared towards parents of younger children aged 11 and below. But if you have older children, stick around because you never know, you may gain a perspective you have not considered before. Are you ready? So, in order to homeschool, you simply have to, number 1, make a decision. Make the decision that you want to home educate your children outside of the mainstream school system. That is possibly the biggest barrier to entry, at least here in the UK, because homeschooling, otherwise known as home education, is a right. Yes, I said it. Homeschooling is your right as a parent. However, although it's a right, there's often a stigma held against homeschooling parents, which makes the choice seem undesirable or even foolish. It's like venturing into the unknown. But as a mum, on the other side of the mystery, I can tell you there's nothing to be afraid of. I personally believe homeschooling is a great choice for parents. In an age of changing values, it's a way to go. If you have the will and emotional stability, as well as physical stability, but more so emotional stability, because that's what will help you to overcome the physical barriers, then you can teach your children at home. And I 100% believe you should at least give homeschooling a try. There's so many avenues to be supported on your journey. That's one thing I noticed when I started this journey, but you just need to take that leap of faith. Here's what the .gov website currently says about homeschooling, and I quote, "You can teach your child at home either full-time or part-time. This is called home education, sometimes elective home education or homeschooling. If your child is currently at school, you should tell the school if you plan to educate them at home. The school must accept if you're taking your child out completely. They can refuse if you want to send your child to school some of the time. If your child is attending school because of a school attendance order, you must get permission from your local council before you can educate them at home." End of quote. So you've decided that you want to homeschool. The next step is to take action. Number 2 is take action. Yes, you can spend months researching the perfect curriculum. Yes, you can spend hundreds or even thousands of pounds on resources. But you really don't need to do all that, at least not at the start of the journey. The best thing I think you should be doing at the start of your journey is to really study your child and understand their learning style. Start slowly. Plan 1 week of different types of activities and what you think would be good for your child to learn. Set aside at least an hour per day to carry out those activities, and then just be aware. Get to understand how your child learns best. Are they a visual learner who likes to see lots of pictures? Are they an auditory learner who likes to learn by listening? Are they a reader and writer? Or are they geared towards a more kinesthetic way of learning through movement? Be a student of your little student. Obviously, with young children, they're still learning how to learn, but you may notice that they have a preferred way to learn. For instance, my eldest, he loves movement. He really struggles to sit down for long, and so I know that if I want him to concentrate on difficult concepts, I have to incorporate movement somehow. Even if the lesson just requires him to use his hands by making something, that's much more valuable to him than sitting down and listening to me. So observe your children. Then after that first week, reflect on what worked, what didn't work, and then plan the next week and then the next week and so on. While you do this, take stock of what you already have within your home, because I know, almost can guarantee, that you already have books, stationery and resources that you can use for at least a month's worth of lessons to teach your child. Number 3, develop a rhythm. After some time, you'll develop a daily rhythm of routines and habits that will make up your homeschool day. This is referred to as a rhythm because, unlike a school timetable, when homeschooling, your child is learning as they do life. And we all know that life doesn't fit into a box. A timetable is rigid, whereas a rhythm is fluid and leaves room for spontaneity. There's definitely order, but there's also room for curiosity, exploration and experiment. Life and learning can be an adventure, but we have to give ourselves permission to do that. Many people ask the question, how long should I spend teaching my child? The reason why this is difficult to answer is because at homeschool, children tend to learn a lot quicker than they would within a classroom. Just think about it. Children do not have the same distractions of being in a class of 30 children. They don't have to wait for the teacher to reveal the next topic, because as a parent, you will know when it's time to move on from a topic. And some lessons may be a lot easier for your child to grasp than others. When you choose to homeschool, your child has the benefit of being taught by someone who has a vested interest in seeing them succeed. It's not to say that teachers don't care for pupils, but a parent is a child's first teacher. The way I decide how long my son needs to learn is by outlining his learning targets based on the curriculum I've personally arranged for him. This leads me to number 4, create a curriculum. As an educator, it made sense for me to compare a number of curriculum outlines and decide what I believe my son needs to know for his age in relation to his peers, as well as information I believe would help him to have a rich and rounded education. Now, many parents choose not to use a curriculum or guideline to teach their children, but for me, I feel having a curriculum outline helps me to stay focused on what my son should be learning, and it also helps me to gather resources or plan outings based on the topics that we are due to study. As well as this, I find that having an outline takes away worry of wondering if my son is learning enough for his age. Of course, it's not healthy to compare my child to abilities from a standpoint of criticism, but having a healthy understanding of what children are learning or what children are expected to know serves as a benchmark to know that I'm going in the right direction as a home educator. It's worth noting that the .gov website has this to say about education, quality and curriculum, and I quote, "You must make sure your child receives a full-time education from the age of 5, but you do not have to follow the national curriculum. The council can make an informal inquiry to check your child is getting a suitable education at home. They can serve a school attendance order if they think that child needs to be taught at school." End quote. Number 5, implement. This is all about implementing the curriculum that you've identified you want to use. It's one thing to have a curriculum, but it's pointless if you're not going to actively set out lessons or create learning opportunities based on the curriculum. The way I've been trying to ensure that I'm staying on track and teaching what I say I want to teach is through the process of review, which is number 6. So each week or fortnight, I aim to use my curriculum outline to decide what I want my son to learn for the following few weeks. But I leave room for adaptation because, honestly, sometimes we come across opportunities to learn something that was not planned. And therefore, we leave some of the lessons pending for another week. And so during the following week, I'll add those missed lessons onto our list and try to incorporate them within our daily rhythm. The aim for my son is to gain mastery over foundational skills, but also to expose him to different topics so that he develops a level of knowledge that can support him throughout his life. It's also important to use the review time to check in with yourself as well. Homeschooling can be challenging at times, but feeling stressed or overwhelmed should not be the norm. In fact, those symptoms are a sign that something needs to change. It could be any number of things, so the goal is to take some time out and to analyse your days in general, identify the stressors and come up with a list of solutions. For example, when I know I have a busy week due to non-homeschooling factors, I try to simplify the lessons and figure out what I want my husband to do to help so that I don't feel overwhelmed. I also make use of Explore trays, which are pre-stocked trays of fun educational worksheets and activities that I can give to my son so that he can work independently while I'm busy. Number 7 is last, but definitely not least, and it's find a community. The right community makes all the difference to your homeschool experience. And one of the questions you'll get asked a lot, trust me, a lot, when homeschooling is, how does your child socialise? I believe this is due to negative stigmas in the media that surrounds homeschooling, but also many people believe that school is the best way for children to socialise because they're in a classroom with so many other children. But just think about this. Think back to your own education. Were you friends with everybody at school? I know I wasn't. In fact, I was painfully shy in primary school. Contrary to popular belief, homeschooled children have more opportunities to socialise, but it's entirely up to the parents. Some parents strive to be outdoors and amongst others all day, every day, while some, like myself, like a nice balance of indoors and outdoors. But then there's also some who spend very limited time outdoors, so it really does depend on the parent and how much effort you're going to put into making sure that you make those connections. Some of the ways I do that is through a homeschool group that I'm going to tell you about now. Taking my children, because I'll take my younger one as well, take them to the library, take them swimming, football, and then just random events. Sometimes you find homeschooling events, homeschool meetups. There's lots of things that could inform you about, and I actually do have a guide about homeschooling support that I'll put into the caption section. But there's lots of opportunities for children to socialise. It's up to the parent, like I said, to make sure that you look for those opportunities and connect with the people who are also invested in those opportunities. So for me, because I knew I wanted to homeschool my children, I became aware of homeschool meetups and opportunities far before homeschooling. I joined Facebook groups, WhatsApp groups, and I put the word out amongst friends and family as well. This eventually led me to discovering a homeschool group, which currently takes place weekly. I personally believe it was an answered prayer because it's something that I wanted for my children. Also being connected with community, I hear about special homeschool days and rates for different events. I also know that I can approach many of the homeschooling parents I've met if I have a query. Community is powerful, and it's through the community of homeschoolers that you'll probably find the answers to many of your questions. If you have any questions for me, let me know in the comments. I'll try to list some resources that I think will be helpful, especially if you're new to homeschooling. And if you enjoyed this, subscribe and like the video, please. And that will help to get this video out to more people. So until next time, take care.